I'm Philip Daniels.
I'm Joe Cardozo.
I'm Jeff Barnes.
This is The Perspective.
And this is The Perspective.
Welcome to The Perspective.
The Perspective. I am Jeff Barnes, and that is not Philip Daniels. That is the man, the myth, the legend, AJ Jones in the house again with us. Joe Cardozo is on assignment. So, it's just the two of us running the show tonight. How you feeling, AJ? It's been a while.
I'm feeling great, man. It has been a while. I'm glad to be back, man. I'm ready for it. A lot has happened since we last got together.
Indeed. We're gonna touch on a bunch of subjects. Everybody that's hopefully out there tuning in different mediums, enjoy the show. We're gonna give you a great hour full of content, and we're gonna try and make it as much of an hour as we can with just the two of us. So,
Yes, sir.
with
Yes,
that being
sir.
said, we're gonna jump right into the fun. All right. So while we were gone, free agencies kicked off. Guys have gotten cut. They're on the market, and one of the guys that got cut towards the end of the season is Derek Carr. Well, he has finally, after months of visiting and whining and dining, found a home in New Orleans. NOLA is
Yep.
where he is with Metairie is where we're practicing, but NOLA is where they'll be playing.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints signed him to a nice lucrative deal, but with all the team choices, was this the right move or was it a bad move?
I'm going to go with it was a good move. It was a right move. It was a right move. They needed a quarterback. They kept starting Andy Dalton because of the stats. If you look at the stats, passer rating, completion percentage, and things like that, Andy Dalton was a top 20 quarterback last season. Now that didn't translate into wins. So they were missing a little bit of the it factor, a little bit of the playmaking ability. Why they didn't go to Jameis Winston, we don't know. I don't know what's up with him, Dennis Allen. I don't know. But when you add in a Derek Carr, who is now out from under whatever was holding him back in Vegas, I mean, Derek can make some plays. And Derek has a whole lot of targets in New Orleans, especially if Alvin Kamara doesn't have to sit out any extended time because of off-field stuff. But hey, listen, a lot of quarterbacks would want that receiving core and that running back tandem. So I think it's a good move for him.
Indeed. I liked it a lot because they needed the upgrade. Jameis was hurt last year. We know about the back injury. He really wasn't 100%, and he's admitted that now. We didn't know during the season. We were wondering why isn't he back yet. I think that was Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton. In his prime, he was a quality starter, not a great starter. At this point of his career, he's a good backup, not a great starter. He's just a guy. And it kind of showed last year. Yeah, he put up some stats, but a lot of those times it was because they had to throw the football. It was like Vinny Testaverde in Tampa. They weren't exactly a great team. He wasn't exactly a great quarterback, but he had to throw a lot. So with Andy Dalton, it was kind of the same thing. And yeah, I think it's a great thing for Chris Olave. He needs a guy like that. Who could buy a little time, who could make all the throws. I think he's still a highly underrated quarterback. I think if they ever get Michael Thomas back for a whole season would be a great thing.
Right.
I do think Kamara, once the whole thing plays out, will eventually serve some sort of suspension. The question is, when will this whole thing play out in court, right? They always wait for everything to be adjudicated. So that's the whole thing. So I expect them to make a move at running back because they expect him to miss some time at some point. Mark Ingram, long in the tooth at this point. So I think overall they're going to be adding some more talent to that team. And I think that's one of the things that they were looking for is it the right fit? I think so. I think they needed this. I think he needed it because this team actually is going to show how good he is and how much he's needed. Dennis Allen, and the offensive coordinator. It's up to these guys to really show who they are. At this point, I think the coaching aspect, we know how good a coordinator is, but now you're a head coach. You got to give us more than what we saw last year. That team was too good to finish with the record that they had. So Yeah, I think it was a good move. I really do. I think it was the right move. I would like to prefer him to go into New York, but New York had Aaron Rodgers on their mind.
Had
So
Aaron Rodgers on the mind. You're right.
yeah, so it's kind of I mean, do you go to Carolina? I wouldn't have gone there. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's a young quarterback situation. My 30-something-year-old, but if I'm Derek Carr, is not going there. I'm going
Yep.
somewhere they have players already that they're willing to win. Um, you know, Houston's not ready. They're still building. There's so many places where the quarterback need where it just didn't make sense. Take your money, go to a team that's still a potential playoff team with you in addition to some of the other talent they're getting in. And I think that's the best situation for them. And it turned out to be the Jets would have been the best overall. But once again, if they're not really looking at you as the number one option, they
Right.
have to go there.
Yeah. It's funny you're talking about Andy Dalton. I'm originally from Cincinnati, and
Mhm.
my dad, loved his Bengals. Look, I love the Bengals because my dad loved the Bengals. Andy Dalton and Derek Carr are the same quarterback when I use this term, but in two different ways. A
Mhm.
quarterback with potential. It's good for a guy like Derek Carr because you've seen what he could possibly do. But with an Andy Dalton, think about how many times he and Marvin Lewis got them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
No other head coach in all of their history got five straight, times to the playoffs. But it was his potential that kept them going back to the well, and he just did not have it to get
Yeah.
them over the hump. Cost Marvin Lewis's job, and look, really probably cost him, from being in the league because nobody wants a coach that can't win in the playoffs. And what has Andy done since? When he went to Dallas, again, could not get them over the hump. Went to New Orleans, he was just real vanilla, quarterback with potential, and now they've got a guy who has upside on this potential. So it'll be very interesting to see how he and they turn it around. I'm with you. I want to see more of what Dennis Allen and this offensive coordinator can do because it's a hell of a job to replace a Sean Payton. They didn't
Absolutely.
realize, what all they had in Sean Payton until they didn't have
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, you know, you guys are Bengal fans, so I'm going to say this. You guys, the one time I rooted for you guys, let me down. 1981. I wanted a little get back against the Niners, and you
it.
guys let me down.
Yep,
So,
yep,
so every time I see Chris Collinsworth, I want to throw stuff at him because he
man,
reminds me of that moment.
yeah,
But
yeah, and I hate to bring it up, but man, that was one of the most heartbreaking Super Bowls because of Stanley Wilson, not
yes,
because of what happened in the game. Because I mean, that young man seemingly had turned his life around, was in a great position, and then unfortunately, down there in Miami, got caught up.
it happens.
Yeah,
Eugene Robinson could say the same thing in
yeah,
Atlanta.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we've talked about one quarterback. Now we're going to transition over to the diva quarterback. The one that everybody can't stop talking about. We're talking about that guy, Aaron Rodgers. And I say it with that kind of vigor because it's been burning my biscuits for the past 3 months talking about Aaron Rodgers. We talk about him missing the playoffs. Is he done? You know, he's going into retreat to take time for himself. He comes out of this darkness retreat and now he's got perspective and he's going to tell us his decision on Tuesday. Then when he gets there, he tells us it's not a decision, but what he wants to do. And I'm Aaron Rodgers now. So Rodgers says, I want to go to the Jets. Of course, it's up to the Packers to get him there. The Jets got to, they want him that bad. You got to give up something good enough for the Packers to let him go. He's not going to let him go for peanuts. So it's not a done deal, but it's pretty much going to happen at some point. What do you think about this move? I mean, this overall trade? What do you think? What do you make of this?
Yeah, let me temper myself. Uh, I'm, I'm so done with the dude. I won't even call him by his name. He will forever more be known as the drama king. I'm sorry. You got your toes on national TV. You're lying about whether you're immunized or vaccinated, and nobody told you to lie. You lied. And then you got mad that you got called out the line. And then all of a sudden you call all your friends out. My real friends would stand up for me. And then you're going into a dark hole. Should have stayed in the dark hole. I have been saying nonstop, Jet fans, Jet organization, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. They know the drama that comes with this guy up in Green Bay. Remember when he threw his young wide receivers under the bus? Remember when it was all the relax and all this other stuff? At the end of the day, this man might be statistically one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. He got one chip. Him and Brad Johnson have the same number of Super Bowl victories. Him and Trent Dilfer have the same number of Super Bowl victories. And it eats him up that he will never be in the conversation with Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Heck, he ain't even in the same conversation with Brett Favre, and I'll leave him alone because he's a criminal. But anyway, so to say, is it a good, well, what I think about it, I don't think about it. I really don't. Because if you just look at it from a business standpoint of negotiations, he's ruined it for both sides. He's made the Jets look desperate. If they really want him now, the Green Bay is in a position where they can fleece them because of the position that he's put them in. And then by the same token, he's put Green Bay in a position where they can't get the value that they deserve from having put up with him for all these years because he's out there running his mouth on deals that have not yet been done. And watch this. He knows what he's doing. He's been around long enough. He's negotiated enough contracts to know exactly what he's doing. It is about one thing, him, and that's not good.
I absolutely agree with you. I've been done with him for a minute, and people don't understand why. They go, "Why do you hate Aaron Rodgers?" I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. I hate what Aaron Rodgers has become. Okay, this was a guy who played hard, showed a lot of heart early in his career. The past 5 or 6 years, he's taken that Farvian turn.
Right,
Right,
right.
right. And that where it's about me,
Yep.
as I'm so great. It's all going to happen because I'm so great. You haven't won a Super Bowl since 2010. You haven't sniffed a Super Bowl since 2010. And yes, you've made championship games, but lost miserably. So
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Miserably.
yeah,
It ain't like you just, so
yeah.
come on now.
If you're this great, we don't talk about Marino and go, man, if Marino didn't choke in the playoffs, because Marino, no matter how his team was balled out, his team
Hmm.
was just never good enough to beat
Hmm.
Buffalo,
Yep.
Denver,
Yep.
and et cetera, et cetera. So at some point, you have to really look yourself in the mirror if you're Aaron Rodgers, right? You think in this darkness retreat, they'd have a mirror there where you would once in a while turn a light on and look at yourself and say, what am I doing? No. When he looks in the mirror, he's like the queen, who's the fairest of them all? You better say
Right.
me, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
who's the greatest of them all in his case? You're the Jets. And here's why this situation baffles me. You did this before. You went through this with his predecessor. Why would you put yourself in this predicament again? You could have had Carr. You could have been on your way in the offseason, moving in the direction you want as far as the regular season. No, you're still in a holding pattern for a guy who's basically doing the same thing that the last guy did for you the last time. And what did he do? He played 1 year, got hurt during that year, left you right after that year, and had more success after he left you than he had with you. Now, there's no saying that Aaron's going to run away after a year, but who says the success is going to measure up? He had a chance to get to the playoffs last year. All he had to do was beat his division rival Detroit. He loves to tell you how he owns Chicago. Well, Detroit was a good team, but technically Green Bay was better.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't win any one of the 2 games against Detroit this year because they didn't play better.
Right.
Right? He sat there and said last year, I don't need to show up for many camps. We'll be all right. I don't need to play in the preseason. We'll be all right. They need it. And when you got to the regular season and the guys aren't where they're supposed to be, where you think they should be, you're saying this and they didn't make the right adjustment. Well, You don't do that during the regular season. You do that in mini camps, you do that in training camp, but you felt you were too good. And I'm supposed to risk my franchise for you? And then guess what do I have in New York? A bunch of young receivers, rookie of the year, right? So why would I want to bring in all of these veteran receivers? I brought your favorite receiver over currently from Green Bay, but why would I want to bring in Randall Cobb, Odell
Right.
Beckham? You know,
Right.
when I got one of the youngest receivers in the game right now that killed it last year, you should be excited to play with that young man. Why would I want to trade my future for your rental? So you come in with this demand list, and if they don't give you what you want, you're going to sit there and pout about it again. I just don't get the overall desperation for this guy. Okay, we've seen lesser players get called divas and get turned off by people in front offices, but why is he so special? Why is
And,
Aaron so special?
and Jeff, I was glad to hear you say that because that's what I have been asking. I'm not going to argue with people
Yeah,
because the facts are the facts. People have always said, well, this guy didn't get another chance because too much drama comes with it, too much baggage. Because, they don't like that kind of brother, listen to me. There is nobody in the league right now that has more drama, more baggage following them than this guy. And you had a Jets team that was trending coming out of last season. And I really think that they have curved their trend because they decided they wanted a guy who is not who he used to be and not what he once was.
yeah. I actually, when I turn on anything, whether it's radio or TV, and I hear that name, that's me. I'm just, I'm like, are we doing this again?
That
Are
never
we
gets
doing
old.
this again?
Yeah,
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 man, I
yeah,
love that gif. I look at
yeah.
that. That's exactly my face a lot of times when somebody says something over and over and over again. It's just, you know, what can you say? It's just baffling to me that we're still at this point. And the fact of the matter is the deal isn't done. So you made this big production. I've come out of my dark hole to come up here and tell you I want to be a Jet, but I have no control over wanting to be a Jet because Green Bay and the Jets still have to work this whole thing out.
Right.
So what I'm telling you right now is really irrelevant because I can't change anything. So I had put a poll out the last week saying, should he get the same heat as LeBron for doing that whole decision thing? And a lot of people said yes. The majority of people said yes, but yet I still don't see the same heat
Mm-hmm.
when I turn on a TV or radio for Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get it. He is
Mm-hmm.
not that special. And LeBron is a more special player than Aaron Rodgers is.
Absolutely.
And, and,
Absolutely.
and honestly, I give him the same heat. He deserves every bit of the heat that he gets because you are making these decisions. You are choosing to skip workouts and do all that stuff. As much as people hate Tom Brady, you can never deny the work ethic Tom Brady had.
Correct.
As much
Facts.
as much as people thought Peyton Manning was a boring person when he played, you can never talk about his work ethic or Eli's work ethic for that matter.
Right.
Them dudes worked, okay, and they earned every bit of the rings that they got.
Think about that. Eli Manning has more rings than Aaron Rodgers. I just go with the facts, man. People talk stats when it's somebody else, but when it's one of the guys that they love, oh well, you can't go by that. Why not? Why not?
He may have lost every one, but Jim Kelly's been to more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers. Fran Tarkenton has been to
Fran
more Super
Tarkenton.
Bowls
Yes, sir.
than Aaron
Yes, sir.
Rodgers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He has the same amount of Super Bowls as Joe Namath.
I tell you, if I'm the Jets, man, I literally, and I know it's not going to happen because this call was a call from the very top down to get Aaron Rodgers for a number of reasons.
The
Exactly.
owner flew the whole organization out there.
Exactly. So
And
there's no fighting this, but I think they're about to find out just how bad it can be when you have a guy that always thinks they're the smartest in the room. You don't come into a team that you're not even a member of with not a wish list, but a list of demands. I mean, come on, seriously.
I got a list
So
of demands. Ain't nobody giving them to me, but I got a
yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can all make a list. We can all make a list. So
Yeah.
again, man, we're talking about a guy that has not done anything that's worth talking about. It's all, you know, drama related. It's media created. It's, you know, it's almost like, you know, I love Jera. Jerry Jones is the one guy that can keep his organization relevant when they're 6-10. He's the one guy that
Yeah.
can find something to have you talking about. And I feel like that quarterback is trying to use the same playbook to do it with him. But again, his career will never be on the same level as Tom Brady, as Joe Montana. His career will never be what it could have been because of the way that he's chosen to handle it and the direction that he's taken it in the last couple of years. Because you can't blame it on LaFleur. LaFleur came in with back-to-back 13-plus win seasons. You can't blame it on him. You can't even blame it on those young receivers because, hey, listen, they're trying and they're developing, and he definitely did not help.
And you know they can't blame it on anymore? Mike McCarthy.
Exactly.
He had his opportunities without McCarthy. McCarthy
Right.
was the whole problem, right? Remember,
Right.
he got McCarthy fired. Oh, and McCarthy's he's not listening to me. The offense is this, is that. So you get LaFleur in. You're winning games. He's not listening to me. The offense is this and that. That's not what I like. Dude, you're winning. You have to go out there and make the throws. You didn't make the throw on the third and goal on the goal line. You didn't play. They keep him from sending the field goal unit out there. You missed the throw. You've missed opportunities in the playoffs. Hey, your coach doesn't go out there and make those throws. You're the great Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
You can do it. You can do it against Dallas, but you can't do it against San Francisco.
And that's the thing. I heard a commentator say that he is the best quarterback he's ever seen. And he said that like 3 weeks ago. And I'm thinking like, A, get your eyes checked. B, are you looking at other quarterbacks? Clearly you're not. And see, I can say he's the most accurate, one of the most accurate quarterbacks that I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But watch this. Accuracy doesn't relate to winning games and making decisions that will help win games. If there's any quarterback in the league that is allowed to audible out of a play, it's him. So there's no way in the world you can come on the sidelines, get in the locker room, and get before us in the media and say, oh, well, coach called that play, so there was nothing I could do. You know, we tried to run. I wish we had been more aggressive. I wish we had done this. I wish. No, sir. You could have audible. You could have changed play. You could have called timeouts and said, hey, look, coach, this is what we're doing. You want to blame everybody but you. My grandmother told me one time when I was telling her about, she asked me about one girl. I said, well, Granny, da-da-da-da-da. She said, oh, really? What happened to the other girl? Well, that Granny, da-da-da-da-da. By the fifth one, she said, baby, the only constant in all them stories is you. And she never looked up over her red beans and rice. And that hurt. And somebody needs to tell that quarterback in Green Bay, it can't be everybody's fault when you're the one constant in all your problems.
Indeed. Well, we're talking about Ron and the Jets, the potential trade that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And we have one more perspective on this topic. So it's about time we bring in the man, the myth, the legend himself. Mr. Philip Daniels is in the house.
What's up,
Big
fellas?
dog. Big dog.
Hey, long time no see.
I know, man. It's been a while, man. Just been so busy. Got a lot going on. You know, trying to get on and coach somewhere, but you know how that is with friendships and resumes don't matter no more. You know how that go. But
hold on. Let me check the internet. He probably done took a job. We just don't know it yet. Let me check the internet real quick.
Nah, I hadn't taken anything. Actually, I'm gonna coach a high school D-line this year.
Okay.
I'm gonna be coaching no matter what. It don't matter what they do in the NFL. I'm gonna coach somewhere, and so I'm coaching a high school team this year, and that's pretty much. I think for me, I think that's where my joy lies. You know, helping young men out and getting them where they need to be. I take pride in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually even thinking about next year even coaching high school. Go back and coach my own high school. So maybe that could be in the works. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Man, that veterans pension must be good because I'm getting peanuts down here in Florida. Coaching high school, man. So some people go, you're gonna buy a car when you start coaching? Yeah, I bought a car. There it is.
I feel you. I feel you.
20 years of coaching, that's the only car I could buy.
Wow.
So we were talking about Aaron and the Jets, So let's get your perspective on this potential trade, Phil.
Oh, we knew what was going to happen. We knew that when the season ended, where he was going to be. When the Jets started talking about bringing him there, we knew it was going to happen. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to take a wait and see approach, man, because I really don't. I watched him a lot last year with Green Bay, and as you get older, it seems like some things start to leave. His accuracy, and he's been known for accuracy all his career. He's one of the most accurate guys to ever throw the ball. I hated playing against him because he was so accurate. You had to really get to him and rush him and get in his face as a front to even get him stopped. So I'm gonna take a wait and see approach and see what happens with him and the Jets. Sometimes new scenery could be good. He's going to a new place and getting away from Green Bay. I really don't think he was getting along with a lot of people there. They could say they were okay, but when you kind of look at them on TV and look at some of the things that happened during those past off seasons, you can see a lot of things going on there that maybe the coaches was like, man, maybe we should move on to our new guy, and or should we stay here and keep him in place? Now he had no one to blame for the troubles last year because he had a lot of young receivers, but he took a lot of money. He got paid. And they got rid of, Devontae Adams left, and that was his guy. I see that the Jets picked up one of his receivers, so that was another thing that told me that they was going to make this move. And so I just feel like, we all knew it was going to happen. But my thing is, like they always say, you could take the guy out the country, but you can't take the country out of the guy. Same thing in football. You could take a quarterback from one team to another, but it's going to be the same quarterback. It's going to be that same guy. So last year I saw some flaws in his game. Unless that get corrected, he goes to the Jets. That don't mean things going to get rosy or get better. The grass ain't always green on the other side. He's been with Green Bay for so long that people got accustomed to seeing him going out there playing. He knew that organization. The organization knew him. So now he's going to a new organization that don't know him very well, and they're going to treat him the same way as the old organization. You know what I'm saying? They're going to treat him good, but it's going to be a little different because you got to go and learn new people, learn new faces, and get used to your new teammates and all that stuff. And sometimes that takes time. That first year ain't always a good year when you free agent going to a new team. So I'm gonna take a wait and see what happens. But I think that if he looked like he did last year, nothing changes. But it do give him a fresh opportunity to go into the Jets and do something with that organization and try to get them on track. And we'll see what happens, man. I'm just gonna take a wait and see approach.
Yeah. I forgot you guys. You got to sack him a couple of times in the league. I forgot about that. You got to sack his predecessor too. Who was harder to sack, him or Favre?
I'm gonna say him because Favre would try to create. He'll try to get out the pocket, run around, create. Aaron, this type of guy, he like to be on time with his passing. It comes out quick. It was accurate. It was so much tougher to get to him, but. Yeah, I got to both of them, so that's good. I sacked both of them, so it's all good.
There you go. You're one of the few guys that can say I sacked both Green Bay Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Right.
Yeah. Well, there's three of them, but you weren't old enough to play against the first one, so we'll keep that. We'll keep that in mind because we don't want to make you that old, Phil.
Well, I'm 50. I just had a birthday March 4th, so I just turned 50. But no, I ain't that old, man.
Listen, I don't feel bad. Okay, you know how old people think I am? They always come to me and go, "You're the Jeff Barnes that played with the Raiders, right?" I said, "No, I was in diapers when he was playing." He was playing in the 70s. I was still with a bottle in my mouth,
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I get that all the time. You play with the Raiders? No, I did not play with the Raiders. Please stop. I didn't even play against them. I didn't even play for the Bayside Raiders. No, I did not play for any Raiders team whatsoever.
That is crazy though, cause you can go look up Philip. You go look up Philip Daniels. There are guys out there that sing and everything else. I'm like, hold on, that ain't me. So people get you confused sometimes with the same names and everything, and it's crazy, man.
Yeah. At least there's other people that go, okay, those are singers. That's not the football player.
Right.
Problem is, I came after a guy who won the Super Bowl, and everybody thinks about the guy that won the Super Bowl. You
right.
No, I did not. I didn't sniff the league. I didn't even have a cup of coffee. So we're gonna talk about free agency. Of course, the show we said would be unpacking it. So kicked off a couple of weeks ago. We had a couple of big signings. Unlike usual, though, we've had a couple of big signings, and then now the smaller checks are coming out. We're not seeing them anymore. The big guys getting paid right now, which is unusual. We usually see 2 weeks of big guys getting their money. Who do you think so far has had the biggest improvement in free agency?
It's always tough to say, because until you see them put the pads on with their new teams and see how they respond and play with those guys, it's hard to tell. But if I had to see on paper, I think actually what Carolina's done this offseason has been good. They moved up to the number 1 spot. Everybody thinks that they're going to get the quarterback from Ohio State, which I think that's the guy they're going after. And then you look at, they got Miles in there at running back. You knew that was going to happen with Deuce being there. And then they bring in, they got the receiver from Minnesota. So I just feel like, they're making little moves here and there that matters, that would help them a whole lot. And then we'll see what they do in the draft. And also Miami. I think Miami's adding a few pieces here and there that they need. They were already a good team. I saw that they got White, the quarterback, and that's an insurance policy just in case things don't go right with the concussions and stuff that they face down there with Tua. And then I look at, they also went out and got the corner from the Rams. So I think, when you look at those teams, I mean, Miami, they were a good team already. The head coach inherited a good team, really, and they were already a good team. They played some good games last year. They put up a lot of stats on offense last year. And now, they can go out there and just get bits and pieces here to get them where they need to be. But the main issue with them is going to be the quarterback, and they got to have some insurance policies. And I think they did that with White. But as far as the other teams, it's a lot of moves that make you scratch your head sometimes, especially with these running backs moving from place to place. Montgomery going to Detroit, but I thought Williams was their best back last year. Why? And he didn't sign for a whole lot. He leaves. So, and I see, Miles going to Carolina, and I think Boone is the one that left, right? And Boone goes and leaves, and I'm like, Boone he ran good last year. Actually, they ran for 300 yards on Detroit last year when they played them. So there's a lot of things that have you scratching your head, some of these moves, but a lot of it is like stuff we don't know, like off the field problems and stuff like that. And a lot of times we see these moves and we're like, man, okay, why did they make that move? And it could be off the field problems, something like that. But I think those two teams, Carolina and Miami, are doing the right things right now. And I think they're going to have some success. And I thought that Seattle bringing back Geno after the year he had last year was a good thing too. So.
All right. How about you, AJ?
Yeah, I agree with what Big Phil said, but I also got to say, man, I don't think Philadelphia got any worse. In fact, they might have got a little bit better from some of the moves that they made, including bringing Darius Slay back. Man, I'm telling you, if they can recreate what they did last year, and then they brought in the running back from Seattle, Rashard Penny, and I think Marcus Mariota is a better fit backup than what they had with Mr. Mustache. I don't forgot his name already. Minshew. Yeah. So I like some of the moves that they made. I definitely agree. Carolina has become real active, and it's not just being active. Right now, I feel like the Houston Texans are being busy active. You got to be busy with quality. And I like the quality moves that Carolina's making. So those are a couple teams that stand out for me. It remains to be seen now who they pick with that number 1 pick. The Texans want to start blaming Lovie Smith for winning that last game over the Colts again because of Carolina moving up to the number 1 pick. Look, you still have a choice between whoever they don't pick at quarterback, and it's already an upgrade even before they get in the building over anything that you have in the building. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these players pan out. Like Big Phil says, once they put the pads on, once they get on the field.
AJ, I want to. Some you just said, like Houston. Houston's making a whole lot of moves with a whole lot of guys that hadn't done anything in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Just busy.
Yeah, it's just busy work. Make it look like you're trying, but you don't have to try that hard. You just get some pieces, go to the draft, get the guys you need in the draft, and just start rebuilding, man. When I look at them and I see Robert Woods, who struggled in Tennessee, I see guys like I'm looking at some of the D linemen balling like Sheldon Rankins and Ridgeway and those kind of guys.
Yeah.
They just backups. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Middleton. They just got Littleton today from Carolina, and again, not a bad dude, but
right.
he hadn't done it.
I agree, man. So yeah, I mean, Dalton Schultz was a good move by them. That's one of their better moves. But I just think that sometimes you can be too active in free agency, and you're going after names and guys that really don't fit what you do. Maybe don't even fit the scheme, but you're going after a bunch of guys because you're trying to rebuild a team too fast. You know what I'm saying? Your head coach signed a 6-year deal. You got time. You're gonna take about 2 or 3 years. Well, he's one of us. He's a black guy. Well, I don't know if you got to say that. You got to put that out there.
But Big Phil, let me say this. I hate to do it. I got to jump off. I got one of them 911 pastor calls. But here's what I want to say. Nick Caserio's on the clock, and he's on the hot seat and the clock because he cannot have a third one and done coach, let alone a black coach, and let alone it be this coach because y'all didn't see how many folks were in there for his introduction. And these were former players. These were former coaches. These were the city's who's who. So if they do that to D'Amico Ryans, they might lose the city. Not the locker room, the city.
You're exactly right, man, because he's a guy that everybody believe in. They saw what he did in San Francisco. They know that he can coach.
Right.
The thing is are you going to allow him to hire his own coaches, his own coaching staff? Which I don't even know if they did that. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is,
they did. They let him bring him in. He got his staff.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So my thing is that like I say, you can bring in all these guys, man. You need the right guys, like you said. You don't need just guys. You don't need to try to build this thing overnight. You know what I'm saying?
Again, guys, I hate to jump off, man. I appreciate y'all.
No problem,
I'll see y'all next time. Okay.
All right, man.
All right, guys.
Yeah, you don't have to rebuild this thing overnight. He got time. He got 6-year deal, which was a good thing that they did to give him opportunity to get in there and turn this franchise around. If they let him have his say, he's gonna get it done. I believe in D'Amico. I just hope that they give him that opportunity to fix it and not go too fast.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a team out there that hails from the NFC East. And no, people, it's not the Dallas Cowboys. They've had a good offseason. But what about the New York Football Giants? Like, they keep their quarterback. Now, we can debate the contract that he got, but they keep their quarterback. They keep their running back, which was very debatable. They were, do you keep him? I think they need Saquon Barkley. They keep Matt Breida, so you have another capable veteran to split time with him.
Mm-hmm.
They add Paris Campbell.
Yep.
Right, to go along with Sterling Shepard, who should be healthy. Okay, to keep Darius Slayton, who is their deep threat. But then you add a Darren Waller to the mix, a guy who was highly underutilized last year in Vegas. I mean, if there's a team that you could say is diminished, it's Vegas. I'm sorry, I know they've added some quality pieces, but they diminished. You don't get rid of a Waller and a Carr.
I agree.
Right, so
that's a lot, man. That's a lot, And then your running back's unhappy, So
he's gonna be even unhappier this year.
Yeah,
you don't have the guys that take the top off the defense and create matchups for you, and they get to stack the box versus you. Now he's gonna be real unhappy this year.
That's true. So, I was surprised by Waller to let him go. It was crazy, man. It was like when the Giants got him, that's the piece they needed. They needed a tight end, and I think now it's gonna make them more explosive on offense. You're right. I think the Giants did the things they need to do. They resigned their own guys, their top guys, and then they went out and got pieces that they need. So I love when teams do that. Don't overreach. Don't go out there and try to do too much. Just do what you need to do to make your team better, because you made the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it more, just a little bit at a time. Keep it going, and you got a good coaching staff. So I think it's going to be good in New York next year.
Yeah, I mean, Waller adds that piece, and here we go. Well, is he really a tight end? Yes, he's a tight end, but he is a matchup problem tight end. Like Kelsey's a matchup problem. When healthy, he's a hard guy to cover one-on-one. He's a hard guy to bracket because he can do a lot of things with that big frame. He is one of those guys that you just hate to see on film, knowing you got to stop. And you add all those pieces around him, plus Saquon Barkley back there, and some of those guys in the slot that you got to worry about, plus the rookie receiver that they drafted last year in the slot. Played very well. Okay, so that's another piece. Then you add a Bobby Okereke, Jared Davis, Raheem Nunez-Roches to the front, the defensive front. They've gotten significantly better. And
they have,
and so they're going to be a problem. If they were a problem last year, they're going to be a real problem this year, right? But yeah, nothing shocks me with Josh McDaniels. That's the other half of that equation. No, this is the same guy that came into Denver. He had Jay Cutler. He had a bunch of pieces. He didn't get along with Jay Cutler. He chased Jay Cutler out of there. And he was forced to go with Tim Tebow because he couldn't win with the other guys that he had. And suddenly, he's doing it all over again. He chases off Derek Carr. He chases off Darren Waller. You've pissed off the running back. It doesn't. I'm sorry. He better have this mad genius ability where they come out and win this year and win big, because otherwise, how do you continue to push the team in this direction, knowing he's gotten rid of your better players and it hasn't translated into the wins you thought it would? This is a team that went to the playoffs with an interim coach before he got there, before he blew it up.
You're right. I mean, this is going to be this is year. He's on the hot seat. This is the year that he got to do something. But I don't think you get things done by pushing some of your best players out the door. I didn't think Derek Carr was the problem. Neither did did this receiver who he bought there. He caused him to come there. You know what I'm saying? So Adams wanted him. I was Adams' guy. They played college together. And then you think about Waller, you letting him walk, and I'm like, it's like, to me, I just feel like this is the year that you got to make a push and you got to get back in the playoffs. Like you said, they had an interim coach and they got there. You know what I'm saying? They were right there. They were looking good. Everybody thought they was going to hire him for the job, and they didn't. And so now you got a new coach in there, and the first year didn't go so well, and now people are getting pushed out the door. And a lot of times that could be a detriment to you when you start getting rid of your players and you start letting some of your coaches go and replacing some of those coaches. Well, you telling the team, I'm letting you make your decisions, but these decisions can either help you or they're going to bury you. So it's either going to help them or bury them. They could be a better team or they're going to be the worst team in America. So it's going to be interesting to see them play this year. I just feel like, on defense, you got to make some strides. You know what I'm saying? They didn't get enough sacks up front. They didn't stop the run game when they needed to. And you got to stop the run in that division over there. So I just think it's a lot of things lying out there right now that he got to get fixed. And I don't think you do it by letting some of your key guys, the key cogs of the locker room, your leaders of the locker room, get out of there and then let them just walk. You know what I'm saying? They really didn't get a whole lot for him. You know what I'm saying? So this draft this year is going to be really important for him. He went out and got Garoppolo. He's familiar with him from being in New England. I guess I don't think the quarterback was a problem. I didn't think Carr was a problem that much that caused them to lose games this year and be in the situation they were in this year. I just think you gotta, and a lot of times, he hired a lot of New England guys. You know what I'm saying? I said that before. He hired a lot of New England guys, a lot of his friends. And if I ever become a head coach in the NFL, I'm not hiring that one friend. I'm hiring guys with resumes, because my thing is, you can hire your friends, but I'm always understanding. I've been around friends a lot, and friends will not work as hard for you because they feel like they're privileged. They feel like they don't have to work as hard. They feel like you're not going to let me go. You my boy. I drink beers with you every night. I do those things with you every night that, I know things about you. That's why I'm not going to hire no friends. I'm just going to go out and hire resumes and let the resumes speak for themselves and get good quality coaches that's going to coach and get these guys where they need to be. Because, like I say, man, all these friendships, they don't matter when it's time, when the job's on the line, when people start looking at your job and say, okay, you're in trouble. So friendships don't matter then. All you guys are going to be gone if y'all don't get it fixed and get it right.
Indeed. It is a production-based business, as one of my coaching colleagues used to say all the time. And friendship or not, the guys that they take the friendship to the grave tend to go down in flames together, because it just doesn't work. When it doesn't work, then your friendship doesn't save you.
Right.
Very few guys get to hang on to an organization in some shape or form because of a friendship, even if they're not going to be the coach anymore. So, yeah, I don't get the infatuation that he has with redoing things in his image. To me, the better coaches are the guys that come into a situation, evaluate the talent that they have, and say, I could build with this, or he's a good player. I may not be able to fully build on him. I may be able to get something for him, but he's a good player. The way they handled the Carr situation wasn't good at all. It basically made it look like Carr was the problem. But that was the same way it ended up with Cutler. Cutler was the problem. So when you kind of have that repeated kind of thing, it was like Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher drafts Vince Young, locks Steve McNair out the building. Then he turns around, and when Vince Young is struggling and Kerry Collins goes in there and goes on a winning streak, he basically dumps Vince Young in the garbage. So it was kind of, you kind of see the trend of how he treats guys. So if I'm a quarterback, I'm a free agent quarterback, I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, and I've seen what he did to Cutler. I'm seeing what he just did to Carr. Am I really going there? I wouldn't have.
No,
I wouldn't have. You'd have had to give me a Deshaun Watson contract for me to go there, because what's stopping you from in a year doing the same thing you just did to Derek Carr to me?
And I think the worst thing head coach can do going into a new situation is go in there and try to be somebody else and not yourself.
Yeah.
Because Bill Belichick's philosophy ain't yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to live by his. You got to go in and create your own way. Your own way of relating to your players and getting them to do things and getting them to perform the way they need to perform. A lot of times it's just about being yourself, man. Be yourself. Go in there, get it fixed. Coach like you know how to coach, and let the other guys have some kind of control and coach their positions and coach their things. And you just can't go in there and be too demanding. You can be demanding, but not like too crazy with the coaches and getting into what they should be doing in their business and all that stuff. You got to handle your own as a head coach. You got to keep everything organized and together. But at the same time, I think a lot of times coaches try to come in and bring the same philosophy of the team they just left. And that don't work all the time. That rub guys the wrong way sometimes. So I just think you got to be yourself. Like Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson is always going to be himself. He's going to go in there and be himself. He's going to coach. He's going to tell guys what they need to do, what he expects, and the guys going to go out and do it. And Doug Peterson is the kind of head coach that everybody would love to play for, because he's a player's coach and he's played the game. You can't go in there because I'm telling you, players can see right through you. When you don't know and you're trying to do something that it ain't you, they can see right through you. So you got to go in there and create your own philosophy. Your personality got to shine through. You just got to be yourself. And that's where a lot of coaches mess up, trying to go out and be somebody they're not.
Indeed. Well, this show is called The Perspective, right? So it's time for us to get some perspective. In this case, we're going to start with Phil and Phil's perspective. What is your perspective this week, Phil, on whatever topic that you want?
I've of course, I was trying to get back on coaching the NFL again, and my thing is, man, it's become sad that now this league has become more like friendships, and it's all about who you know and your friendships, and if you had like some kind of relationship with a guy on another team or something like that. They don't even bring guys in to interview anymore. You know what I'm saying? I was told several times that we're going to bring you in to interview in the next few days. We're going to bring you in to interview you. Never got a chance to come in to interview. Everybody want to do Zoom calls now. Zoom calls to me is just something to say that, I did my due diligence and I did, talk to you. That's pretty much what a Zoom call is. And I hope the league, the NFL, just get rid of Zoom calls altogether. That you cannot hire or talk to a coach through Zoom. You got to bring them in for interviews, because I feel like in person you get to know the person, get to know how they feel. You get to, the interaction is way better. You know what I'm saying? Just seeing a guy face to face and know where he's coming from. So when I was like told I was going to come in for interviews and then get the chance to come in the interview, it was like a slap in the face for a guy who played 15 years in the league, that done won a Super Bowl with a team, and that done coached the team to top 10 against the run, and one of the best pass rush units in the league. So I just feel like, it's just like this league has become too buddy, and it's getting to a point where I think, in order for these coaches, like everybody want to come. Here's the thing. Let me say this. I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna put it out there because I just got to. We always talk about the black guys getting held down by racism or whatever it may be in the NFL. We always talk about how black guys get held down by these rich white owners and all this stuff. But you know what, man? I've come to realize just these past 3 years, just trying to maneuver myself to get back into the league. Black guys hurt each other more than the white guys hurt us all day long. They would not stick their nose out to help you out. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of brothers out there that are destroying other brothers and not giving brothers opportunities. They will not stick their nose out for you. And it's sad, man. So we can keep complaining about the system, the institution, whatever it may be. Keep talking about the NFL is a league that won't hire brothers or whatever. Yes, Eric Bieniemy has done wrong. He's been done wrong for like 4-5 years now. But at the same time, when I'm talking about the brothers, when you reach out to a brother to try to get an interview or get him to go and talk to a head coach for you, to say, hey, man, go throw my name in a hat or whatever, and they turn their back on you and they don't do it. So we hurting each other, guys. We got to stick together. We already know it's stacked against us, but if we don't stick together, then what we got? So my thing is, there's a lot of brothers out there hurting other brothers, and that's got to stop. So that's my perspective this week, man. I just want to say, just going through this process, trying to get back in, knowing that I'm a hell of a coach, knowing that everywhere I've been successful, knowing that I put all my all into everything I do, but not to get interviews and not be brought into the building, or all I can get is a Zoom call. That's just kind of sad. So I just want to throw that out there. I hope the league do something about these Zoom calls and stop these teams from Zooming people and bring them in for real interviews, sit-down interviews, get on the board, get in the film room, show what we can do, instead of just sitting there going off of a friend who said, I got a buddy I want you to hire, or an agent that said, or guys that got with an agent that got a bunch of GMs, a bunch of head coaches and stuff. You just throw them in the pot. You know what I'm saying? We need to be able to sit down in front of people and get to let them know who we are and what we can do and what we bring to the table, instead of getting on a Zoom call where we're getting asked questions and there's no feel there. All you see is a face. You don't get to know the person. You don't know how the person look standing up. You don't know if he's 6'6" or 6'1", those kind of things. So I just think we got to do a better job of brothers helping each other out, and we got to do a better job as a league of getting, like, these Zoom calls should not be in effect, because I'm tired of Zoom calls, man. I done did Zoom after Zoom, and every time I did a Zoom, they tell you did a hell of a job, man. You got a lot of passion for the game. I know you can do a good job for us, man. And then not to get an opportunity to come in and sit in front of somebody. I think it's sad. So that's my perspective this week.
I am in full agreement with you, man. I've seen, as a coach that's continually trying to further my career, I understand exactly what you mean. They talk about the minority fellowship with Bill Walsh, and they talk about the Fritz Pollard Alliance scouting mentorship, internship. And I look at the bars that they have set on those, and it's higher than guys that are coaching in the league as head coaches, offensive coordinators, line coaches, defensive line coaches. Why is the bar so high for an internship for minorities when you have coaches that are in the league that have less criteria? A lot of the stuff that they're talking about, Sean McVay never had. A lot of the stuff they're talking about, Kyle Shanahan never had. And they want these are requirements. They're not options. These are requirements. So I know, Wes Phillips got in as a scouting, not scouting, as a coaching quality control coach without any of these requirements. Why? Because his daddy hired him. Same thing with Charlie Weiss's son. So you can go down the list of coaches and sons. And why do we put these ridiculous high bars? We thin out the pool before we even get to the point. It doesn't even go by how well you coach. It goes by, well, what do you have here that we think we could impress somebody with to get you an interview? No, how about you come in, you bring in coaches, you select resumes, and you sit down with coaches and talk to them, talk football. Every time I've gotten hired as a coach, I've sat down in an interview and talked football. Right? And they go, okay, you're the guy for the job. They didn't go through my resume and go, okay, coach, yeah, when did you work there? Great. What did you think of this? Okay. And the only time I had a generic interview was after I did the initial interview. We talked football and talked about background and philosophy and all that. Then you went to the general interview with the school where they had the pre-written questions where they're doing the checklist. Okay, did you do this? Did you do that? That's a county thing, okay? That unfortunately has to be done because that's part of their county protocol. But the real interview happened already. At that point, it was just a formality. It's ridiculous that we're at this point that you got to fill out stuff online. Hopefully they select you. Hopefully they don't. They'd have time to even answer or acknowledge that they even got your application. It's a joke. It's a joke. And the biggest joke is on the guys that are trying to really bust their butts to get there. Because there are legitimate coaches that are really good at what they do, and they don't get anywhere. I sit on a minority coaches call at least once or twice a month, and there are brothers like myself that have a lot of passion, been doing this for X amount of years, and they're frustrated because you can't even get the time of day from people, and they want you to go, oh, keep networking, keep fighting the good fight, and it's like,
yeah.
Dude, there are 30-something, 31-year-old coaches that are getting offensive coordinator and head coaching opportunities, and here I am at 40, going on 47, still trying to get somewhere. That's not even a level playing field. It's not even close. At some point, y'all talk about coaches aging out. So it's like it's insane, man. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I put my resume up against anybody's. I made playoffs 3 out of the 4 years I was in Philly. I took over a group my last year that was injury prone. There was a bunch of injuries, and then we were third against the run. We was 11th, I think 11th to 12th in sacks. But my thing is, I know how to coach young people. I've coached a high school team to a Final Four. I'm coaching another high school team this year. Hopefully we can get to the championship game again. I just know how to coach. I know how to teach, those things. I played 15 years. I know this like the back of my hand. I know every technique and that you can possibly play against whatever, You got these coaches now that, they can't tell you how to get out of trouble because they never played the game, you know what I'm saying? All they can tell you what they learned on the chalkboard or what they saw on film, but they never experienced it. There are some times in football where you get certain blocks and block schemes, you can tell your guys, hey, man, check a can of whip ass, go play right there. I can't tell you how to play that. That's a crazy ass block. I can't tell you, but I've had coaches myself when I played that will actually try to tell you how to get out of a certain situation when it's impossible. So I'm real with my players, and I've done everything I could do to get back in, as far as, talking to these teams, whatever, My thing is, man, here's my pet peeve, My pet peeve is like when you contact somebody, that you got their phone number, it's the right phone number, and they don't even answer it, they won't even text you back, It's kind of sad, man, So my thing, and one thing about me, if you text me, I'm gonna tell you yes or no. I can help you, I can't. I'm not gonna sit around and beat around the bush and not text you back and say anything like I just don't want to talk to him. That's a bad way to be, man. And my thing is, man, that's my pet peeve, man. Answer the phone, text me back, just let me know what's up. You don't keep me hanging, wasting my time, keep me out there reaching out to you. That shouldn't happen, you know what I'm saying? There's so many things that got to be fixed with the hiring process, man. It's just like, guys who's played this game a long time, that know it like the back of their hand, that's been successful, made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years, won a Super Bowl, got a resume with high school, went to the Final Four, took a Catholic school to a Final Four, helped them out, and everywhere I've been, every group of guys I've worked with, they all say, Coach, I learned so much under you. And that's what it's all about. It's all about teaching. And if you can't teach, If you don't know the proper techniques and you ain't teaching the right things, it's so much going into playing football than just playing football. You know what I'm saying? You got to teach like a lot of things. I won't even say it on here because I don't want to give none of my stuff away. But there's a lot of little things you got to teach to get guys to play the way they need to play. And that's why I was successful, even though I had the injuries. I was successful because I can get guys to play the way they need to play, even if they don't fit the scheme. I make them fit the scheme by doing it their way, but make it better for them to do it their way and make plays. So,
indeed. Well, I'm going to throw my perspective out there. And this week, my perspective, we've talked about quarterbacks early in the show. Well, but this time, my perspective, I'm going to talk about one in particular, and it's not A.A. Ron. We talked about him. We talked about Carr. We didn't talk about Lamar Jackson. And this situation in Baltimore really bothers me. It really does. Lamar Jackson came into the league. We credited the Ravens for being the team brave enough to jump back into the first round and could take him and have a plan for him. When they were having a rough season his rookie year, and they threw him in the lineup and said, "Kid, go make it happen." He made it happen and got him in the playoffs. Well, they've been in the playoffs virtually every season since. The only time they missed was when he got hurt the other year. So we see he is their offense. He was the key to their running game. He was their passing game because they really didn't add a lot of great threats on the outside. It's been Lamar Jackson show in Baltimore. When he's out, the offense looks mundane. If he is this big a key to your team, he's this big a key to your offense and the team, why wouldn't you pay him? Because it's about guaranteed money. You don't want to give him the guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson came. Well, you don't have to give him Deshaun Watson. I'm pretty sure if you came pretty close to that, if you would get to, you don't want to give him 230, give him 190. What's wrong with that? Oh, well, he could get hurt. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. Green Bay still gives him the bag. There have been plenty of quarterbacks who've gotten hurt and still gotten their money. Why is it a fight to give him his money? You have used him in every facet of your team as far as this offense ever since you drafted him. And now it comes time to pay him, and you're sitting there trying to count the wad of cash going, I don't know if it's enough to cover the bill. These things get remembered. So now you put the exclusive tag on him, knowing that nobody wants to pay this guaranteed money. So you can say, see, nobody's going to give you that money, so we don't have to give it to you. Well, he has one more card to play. It's called well, guess what? You're not paying me. I'm going to hold out. I don't have to sign this tender. And I have till October, I think it is the date, to sign this tender. Or I missed the whole season. I hope you have a plan if he does that to you. Because plain and simple, Baltimore, you played this game. And this is GM Eric DeCosta. This is owner Steve Bisciotti. You got to know better than this. You didn't want to pay him. You traded for a linebacker for Chicago and gave him the $100 million back. Now, he may not see the whole $100 million, but you sure enough signed the check. You're telling me the guy who's giving you all of this stuff and more, you can't reward him with at least something close to what he's worth? Some things are foul here. There is something wrong with this. It's not the style of play, because, if it was the style of play, then guess what? You wouldn't have been successful. This style of play has helped save your team. It's about time to reward the guy for what he's worth. When Tom Brady got his money, guess what? He got his money. And you're going to say, well, he won championships. Well, Tom Brady did a lot for that team, just like Lamar Jackson's done a lot for the Ravens, whether they've won championships or not. Dan Marino got his money, and he didn't win any championships. Troy Aikman had a lot of help, but he still got his money. You got a quarterback that you value. You have no problem paying him. So if you don't value him, you should have just let him walk outright instead of pulling this tactic. This is why people don't trust ownership. This is why he's sending you cryptic messages on Twitter. Because plain and simple, you're showing him every day that you don't value him the way you should. You value Joe Flacco that you gave him $100 million. There's something wrong here in Baltimore, and it ain't Lamar Jackson. It is about time that Baltimore, you start doing right by the guy that's carried you. Because you know what? You don't want to give him this money, and eventually you do get rid of him. You better pray that you get somebody that can carry you next, because you'll be in a lot of hurt, and the whole world of hurt if it don't work out. That's my perspective on the Lamar Jackson situation.
I agree with you, man. Really and truly, Lamar didn't have to play last year. He could have held out last year.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us, we did a show. We were saying that maybe he should hold out because he could get hurt. And it happened, and he didn't come back because he felt like he should have been paid already. He didn't think it would last the whole season, that he wouldn't get paid, He thought it should have happened already. That's why he didn't come back. Even if he could have came back, he wasn't coming back, And because he right there, when he got that injury, he knew right there that could have been way worse than what it was. And he ain't got paid. So I just think I'm with you on that. I just think it's sad, that he's waited this long. And if you don't feel like he's valuable, he's not the guy you're going to win a Super Bowl with, he ain't that type of quarterback, then just let him go. Let him go somewhere where he can go and play and win for somebody else, So I just feel that too. I feel like they holding him hostage for no reason. They don't want to pay him the money that he wants. So my thing is, man, if other quarterbacks out there worth what they're worth and what he's done for this team, he's pretty much carried this team by himself. He has not had that wide receiver group that other teams have. He got a tight end that's nice, but he didn't have all the weapons that other teams had. And look what he did, man. Look what he's done over these last few years, or 2 or 3 years. So, my thing is, yeah, he's worth it, man. He should have been paid already. I thought he should have sat out last year until he got that money. And so now we're where we are right now. So, I know they would love to have him in Washington. Eric Bieniemy would love to have his hands on him. That's what he can do with a guy like that. And Washington's the other team I feel like going to make some strides this year, because Eric Bieniemy is going to do some things there. And he's got from other, the wings in Kansas City. He finally got away from that situation. Now he can kind of let people see what he can do and see how he can take an offense and do well with the offense. And I'm pulling for him, man. I'm pulling for him to go out there and kill it. And just imagine if he got Jackson in Washington and what he can do with that offense with him behind the center. It'll be amazing, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And the quote Shakespeare, something's a foul in Denmark. There's no way. There is no way that you're still arguing over money after you went to the playoffs because he got you to the point of getting to the playoffs when he got hurt. They went to the playoffs with a backup and showed that even with somebody that plays a similar style to him, it's not as good enough as Lamar Jackson. So it's not style. It's the player. He's that special. Pay him his money. If you can't pay your quarterback, how do you expect to win? That's we talk about it's a quarterback-driven league where you got a quarterback who's winning for you, who does special things. You can't pay him. You refuse to pay him. But you pay the linebacker.
Here's the other thing. Yeah. I know the linebacker from Georgia. You got to pay them Georgia guys. Some of these studs down there in Georgia. You got to pay our studs from Georgia.
You dogs stick together.
But here's the thing. They just got Todd Monken in there. They just got our coordinator from the University of Georgia. And if you look at what he did for the University of Georgia and the kind of system he ran, Lamar Jackson would kill it in that system. And he would put something together for him to kill it. I just feel like you got your coordinator now that can go do some things. Go ahead and pay that man, get him back in there, and go win a championship. Let's get this man some more weapons. Give him at least 2 more receivers. You know what I'm saying? Give him at least 2 more receivers to go with that tight end Andrews, and then you got something special. You just got to believe in your quarterback, man. No amount of money when you believe in somebody, especially in the NFL, because they got money for days. When you believe in somebody, you pay them. You go ahead and pay them. You don't wait. You just go ahead and get it done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how many times if you had to go in hindsight, how many times you think, even with Kirk Cousins with Washington, you know what I'm saying? How many times you think they feel like, well, we should have just paid him early. We should have got it out of the way early. And we still have him here. He's playing a pretty good ball, you know, in Minnesota. You know, those kind of things, you know what I'm saying? You pay guys a little bit early, you get them a little bit cheaper. And that's what teams got to start doing. You got to think about it. If you value somebody, you know they can get you where you need to go. You got to go ahead and open that wallet and go ahead and pay him early and get it out the way. And this man been waiting for 2 years to get paid. So it's time to get him paid and just move forward. Get Todd Monken, let Todd Monken have his quarterback, start game planning and put some things together for him. Because I know if he did what he did for my guy at Georgia, I know what he's gonna do there with Jackson if Monken is in control and got him out there playing at a high level.
You said the magic 2 words, Kirk Cousins, who's gotten 2 guaranteed contracts, did he not?
Yeah.
From Minnesota? Yeah. So, yeah, in the words of Johnny Cochran, I rest my case.
I just solved it for you, huh?
Yeah, I rest my case. There's nothing else to say about it. If Kirk Cousins can get 2 guaranteed contracts, you telling me he can't get 1? You don't. Like I said, you don't want to pay him the $230. You can pay him the $190. Give him the 5 years, 200-something thousand, $190 guaranteed.
Yeah.
You tell me he wouldn't take $190 guaranteed?
They need to do something fast. I mean, get to the draft and all this stuff going on, the OTAs and all. I mean, he need to be in OTAs, getting ready to go play. You know, They need to go ahead and make something happen fast, man, and get it done, because waiting don't solve nothing for nobody. You know, there's no quarterback in this draft that can do what he can do for you. So you might as well go ahead and get it done and go ahead and pay this man and move forward. You know, I've seen teams overpay for so many bad players.
Yeah,
he's a good player, and you don't even want to pay him what he's worth. So I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
He is a special player, and you pay special. You don't cheat special,
right?
And they're cheating special right now, and that's the sad part about it. That's the real sad part about it.
Because if they got any feeling, if they got any anything about the injuries he's had the last few years, or the style of offense he run that he make it hurt. You know, you have to run the style of offense he ran because you didn't have no weapons to throw it to. You know, he's gotten so much better with his accuracy and throwing the ball over the last few years, but he has nobody to throw it to. It's the young guy. I mean, his rookie got hurt last year, so you know he ended up having 1 receiver and 1 tight end. He's never had all the weapons he needed. Now he got some runners in the backfield, but he's a runner in the backfield. They don't even matter. It's those receivers. You got to give them some weapons at receiver, some speed, some weapons to go get it. They traded Brown away, let Brown go, and then you took away weapons from this guy. He still performed at a high level. Go ahead and
we'll trade Hollywood Brown and give you a 2nd tight end. How does that work for you?
Right.
So you got 2 good tight ends, but nobody to stretch the field.
That's it, man.
You're running 2 and 3 man routes.
I want to see him on the field with some weapons and to see how he play with those weapons and see what happens. Because he's never had weapons that he can rely on to go get open. They can throw the ball up. They're going to make him look good. Even if he throw a bad pass, make him look good. He never had those kind of guys. No. So go get him some weapons. Get him a number 1 receiver. Get him some receivers to go with the guys you got already. And let's see what happens. I guarantee you that this dude going to be on another planet. He's going to be playing his butt off. And he's not going to be doing anything different than he did already. Just throwing a little bit more. So.
Well, it'll be a couple of weeks before we see each other again, man. But it was good to get the band back together, you know. So we
I got to
get the other show off.
I just got to talk to you about the time. We might have to move the time back a little bit, but hopefully I'll be available for every show, and then we're good to go. So,
listen, my draft show starts at 9 Eastern, right? Because I know I got a lot of running around. My partner got a little running around to do, and trying to do the 8 o'clock stuff is hard. Doing the 7:30 is even harder, especially with Tampa traffic down here. Mm-hmm. You know, luckily on Wednesdays I'm here. I mean, this is my office on Wednesdays and Fridays, so I don't have to fight traffic on those 2 days. But days like today, 7:30, I bust my butt to get here so we can get that 7:30 show on time, because it's a fight. The Florida drivers can't drive. I'll tell you that right now. Despite what they tell you to their face.
I feel you on that. I got a question for you though.
Go for it.
Since you're talking about the draft on your show, Jalen Carter, everybody know what he did during the season, how he played, how he performed on the field. He had a bad pro day. Of course, it's normal to have a bad pro day when you're going through what you're going through, and they're saying that you were the reason your friend got killed, and those people got killed. I mean, your friends got killed in Georgia. They're saying you the reason because you was racing or whatever. But my thing is, he's going through a lot with that and dealing with that and all that stuff. And they filed charges against him when he was at the combine, which is kind of like it was set up that way, And then now he has a bad pro day, and they say he came in 8 pounds overweight, 8 or 9 pounds overweight, and he didn't look good. And he seemed like he was kind of tired. And I tweeted out last week. I said, man, listen, he got plenty of time to get back in shape. He plenty of time to get back in shape.
He does.
Look at that man's film and judge the film from what it's worth. He's the best defensive player in this draft. Especially D tackle. Maybe the Alabama kid could be number 1. He's number 2 at least. But at D tackle, he's probably the best player in this draft. And I just feel like, you got to look at his film and judge him off his film because you know that if you're a coach, if you got a coach that's worth the damn, they get him in shape. You know what I'm saying? So
I had that same argument because I think it was Lance Zierlein was like, he came in 15 to 20 pounds over. It was 9 pounds over his combine weight, which is already higher than his playing weight. And I said, yeah, well, he's training for pro day and combine. He's not training to play football right now.
Right.
Plus he's going to be adding on muscle and stuff because he's got to get bigger for the NFL. He couldn't play nose at 303 the way he did at Georgia, not the NFL level. He's going to have to add on a little more muscle to handle what he's going to handle inside. So he was going to play. To me, his playing weight was going to be between 310 and 320.
And that's a good weight. That's a good playing weight. I think Fletcher Cox was like 320, somewhere in that range. So it's a good player. You can play 3 technique. You can play all the positions really. And who's to say that he's going to play in a 3-4 when he gets to the NFL? He could be a 4-3 guy. Get him off the ball. But my thing is, I think people they reaching a little bit too much with the pro day and not realizing that you got time. He got time to get back in shape and wherever he want to be. Like I say, it's 2 different kinds of muscle you can add. Well, I tell you, only one kind of muscle you can add: good muscle or it's going to be fat. Now, if you add good muscle, you're going to get heavy anyway because muscle is way heavier than fat. But at the same time, I think that, like you said, if he was training for the combine, he gained it the right way of muscle, that's one thing. But to say that he was 9 pounds over the combine weight, of course, we know what he's going through. So we got to look at it for what it's worth and say, okay, let's just analyze the film and make sure we do our due diligence. Because there's a lot of teams in there outside of the top 10 that's hoping he dropped down to them and get him. You know what I'm saying? Even Philly. I know Philly's sitting there waiting on him. But they get him with his boy in Philly and they can play together. Fletcher Cox ain't going to be around forever. You know what I'm saying? They re-signed him, and that's one thing about Philly. That's one thing I'm concerned about with them is their stopping the run game, because Hargrave meant a lot to them. He was a beast up front. Now, you lose a beast like that, you got to add somebody else. So I know that Philly would love for him to drop down there to them, and they pair him up with his boy from Georgia, and they go get it done. Just like the guys from Washington, from Alabama. Those 2 guys. You know what I'm saying? Be the same thing.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen and Payne,
Yep.
I think, he was going to have to bulk up. People forget that when you add on any kind of weight, muscle, what have you, you're going to be winded. You haven't done football stuff. So while he may not be doing these drills that he should have been doing, that is a knock. If you want to say that he wasn't prepared, fine. You can say that portion of it, but I guarantee you he don't fall past 6 or 7. If it does, it's going to be unforeseen because nobody that is saying he's going to fall that far. Everybody is saying there's a couple of guys that are and they're railing for him to fall more than it is they see him falling. They're railing for him to fall past that. If you're looking at the player that you scouted, he shouldn't fall past 6 or 7. And that's
I agree.
That's even far, but he should not fall past 6 or 7.
I agree.
And unfortunately, there are people railing for it. He's the new poster boy that they want to fail. But yet they're still talking up Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett was the one who was arrested for public drunkenness during Senior Bowl, where he should have been there working. Right? So we forgot that already. But we're gonna beat this kid up for everything. See, you got one is not better, one is not equal or greater than the other. You know, they're two different things. You got to look at each incident with the kid. They're trying to say it's character. No, the kid from Alabama that got caught speeding with drugs in the car. That's character. That's character. I can guarantee you, every one of these dudes that they get drafted been speeding something. Okay, including the choir boy that they're saying that some of these guys are. Okay,
you just said it.
Yeah, I got 50 in my community.
I mean, to me, it's different kinds of character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you're looking at that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, how many guys who they say had bad character was the character problems off the field or whatever when they was in college that's gotten to the NFL and had another problem. Yeah. But there was guys who had great character that never did anything wrong. Got to the NFL, got some money in their pocket, and went a fool. You went crazy. So you can't really. I think you got to look at character from what it's worth. I mean, if it's drugs and the guns involved, that's different. That's totally different. But in this case, you're looking at my man. He was driving a car. He was just going home. And whether they were trying to race him or trying to keep up with him and lost control, but they never talk about the blood alcohol for the driver. That was 5 times over the limit. They never talk about that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Is it his fault that he was driving fast? They were trying to keep up with him or trying to race with him or whatever, and then they lose control of the car? It's not his fault, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure he wished it wouldn't have happened. I know he wished it wouldn't have happened, but at the same time, I just think you can't hold a lot of stuff over his head and say that that's bad character for something like that, you know what I'm saying, in that situation. Now, like I say, like you just said, when drugs are involved, when guns are involved, no, this is a different kind of character. I just think teams got to decipher between what's bad character
and immaturity. Yeah,
exactly. So that's
it's immaturity. There's a lot of these guys that are immature. They may not act out in public immature, but a lot of these guys are still immature.
Right, exactly. But you put the right people around him. Like I say, that's why coaching staff should hire a bunch of former players who's been there and done it, that never had problems when they were. But they can kind of put these guys under their wings like big brother types. And they have problems. You know what I'm saying? I've never had a problem in my room with nobody. So that's the thing you got to do.
Indeed. All right. So we've gone way over. So
yeah, I know, man. We got
it's about time to peace out, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll be back again beginning of April. We have another show coming up. So remember, we're twice a month now until June. Then we take a little hiatus with the NFL season because there's 5 dead weeks, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to see us just talking to you about nothing for 5 dead weeks. So we'll take a little hiatus while the NFL takes theirs, and we'll come back in training camp with some more perspective. But this is Jeff Barnes, and of course the man, the myth, the legend, Phil Daniels, back in the house as I'm bowing into his greatness. Right? We'll be back. More perspective coming your way. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.